All right, to start on our Distress Oxide watercoloring, we're going to be using this gorgeous image, Hearts All Over from Unity. This was released back in February, and it's a beautiful red rubber stamp with some gorgeous hearts, and I love all the detail in it. So this is going to be really fun to do some watercoloring with. We're also, for the sentiment, going to be using the Blossom, Thoughts, and Wishes, and we're going to be doing some fun little stamping and heat embossing with the sentiments. Of course, this is going to be a super quick, clean, and simple birthday card. For our supplies, we are going to use the Simon Says Stamp Clear and the Simon Says Stamp Embossing Powder in white. Try saying that 3 times. For our color scheme, using a super bright green and our white cardstock for our white embossing. And then for our watercoloring, we're going to use Distress Oxides. This is a really fun technique. Use Distress Oxides in picked raspberry, twisted citron, peacock feathers, wild honey, abandoned coral, and spice marmalade. Well, let's get started. All right, guys, to begin this heat embossing, we're going to be using the Hearts All Over. And I'm going to tell you what, when I'm using a large stamp like this, I don't take it off the plastic or the backing. The reason why is that these Unity stamps don't really bend. These are really nice, so you don't need an acrylic block. So we're just going to go ahead and grab our watermark ink or embossing ink, whatever you prefer, and we are going to ink up the entire thing. We're going to come in and just make sure getting it all, pressing hard here. Once we get it all, we are going to just simply grab our cardstock and flip this over on it and do an even sweep with our fingers to get it to press on. Find it easiest to grab sweater and something that allows your hand to just really slip all over to press that down. Once that is completely done, we're going to remove that. See, I don't know if you can see it in this white background, but we got a nice clear image. Now we're going to grab our white embossing powder, and I am using quite of a large image, so I like to do it in corners, and that way I don't end up with embossing powder all over the place. I'm just going to keep turning that. Be sure not to rub your fingers where you did the embossing. Okay. Okay, we're going to keep on moving. All right. And now we're going to go ahead and heat set with our heat gun. I am not going to put your ears through that process. It's going to take a couple minutes, so I will come back when this is all nice and heat setted and cooled off to begin our watercoloring with Distress Oxides. Okay, now that it's all nice and heat embossed, so you can touch it and not burn your fingers to the 3rd degree, we're going to grab our Distress Oxides, and you can do this on a piece of acrylic. I have a Easy Clean mat that I got on Amazon, and I'm just going to add all my ink colors to the water resistant pad. And like I said, you can use a piece of acrylic, you can use your stamp block, and that will just make it really nice and easy to clean off. But for the purposes of this video, I am going to do it on my cleanable surface. So we're just going to continue adding all that color, and I'm going to use a lot of this Twisted Citron because I match my cardstock for my sentiment to that color. And this is just going to be a really fun palette, and I'll give you a little hint with these color selections. This is kind of my next color selections for my website, so I'm updating my site, and this is it. This is really bright, fun colors, easy to the eyes, but still upbeat. So we're going to begin by adding water to these Distress Oxides, and we're just going to start dabbing these colors onto our cardstock. Couple questions on cardstock. I am using the Nina White, 110 pound. Be sure to clean your brush in between grabbing colors. You just see I totally forgot to do that there. And it made an orange color, which is really pretty, but that's not what I was going for. So I'm gonna be using a lot of this Twisted Citron, like I said, because it matches my cardstock. I'm gonna avoid the orange blob that I created between those two colors and just continue on dabbing. This is a great way to make a birthday card using some of your Valentine's Day stamps if you purchased this back when it released in February. And if you didn't buy this, you can see how you can use it for many other ways. So I'm gonna clean off my brush. I'm gonna come in and grab the Peacock Feather Blue. I love this mix of colors, and look how fun when you mix that peacock feathers with the pickled raspberry. It makes a really pretty purple. So we're going to continue this on, not adding too much because I do have several other colors still left to be used. I'm just leaving a couple spots. I'm going to come in, clean off my brush. Alright. I'm going to grab some of this red, and this is Abandoned Coral, so it's not red. It has an orangey pink tint to it, but the closest thing to red we'll be using on this color combination. So people ask, how do we find color combinations? Pinterest. If you follow me on Pinterest, I have a whole section of color combos. Feel free to pin. I just, why make it harder? Do not reinvent the wheel. It is done for you. Another way is to look at fabric patterns and whatever of fabric patterns and colors that you reach toward when buying clothes. That's the stuff you're gonna like to work with. So that's another way to find color combinations for your projects. And we are at the tail end of this watercoloring with Distress Oxides, and just adding a couple more layers to these yellow. And you know what, when that dries, I'm going to come back and grab more of that Twisted Citron so it doesn't get lost in the mix of the yellows and those oranges there. So I'm just going to come in and grab a little more of that. And feel free to clean off your surface, add more of your ink pad to it to add more colors. We're going to give that a couple minutes to dry and come back with our sentiment. While that is drying, we are going to work on our sentiment. I am using the Blossoming Thoughts and Wishes. This is the March Unity Sentiment Kit of 2015, and there's some great sentiments on this. I am using the Hurry Up and Cut the Cake because honestly, just come on. And we are also using the Gorgeous. This is like a little flower, and we have them on different acrylic blocks because I want to get them really close to each other. We're going to heat emboss these in white. So I have my clear embossing watermark ink, and I'm going to start by stamping the sentiment, and we're going to use this as our base, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim it to fit it on the center of my card. So I'm going to ink this up and try to line it up so it's nice and straight and give some room for the other floral pattern that we have. We're going to rock that back and forth. Got a great image. We're going to move on quickly and ink up our flower. And like I said, I wanted to get this as close as possible. And we're going to do a second one in the bottom, on the bottom. And we're going to rock that back and forth. And we got those pretty close, so we're going to go ahead and grab our white embossing powder and cover the entire thing. And then we're going to go ahead and heat set with our heat gun. I'm not going to torture you, so I will be back when this is nice and ready to go. All right, this is nice and cleaned up, so we're going to go ahead and trim it so we can place it on the center of this card panel. So we're going to start by doing how long this is going to be. And honestly, I'm going to trim the sides too because I want to be able to show off some of that gorgeous distress coloring we did. Remove that. Just continue on. This is a Viscars, that's how you say it, right? Paper trimmer. And I love it for my videos. I do have a larger trimmer for my card bases, and I have been cutting those prior to videos. It just makes it much easier. Okay, we're going to place this on top of this with some foam adhesive. Okay, so prior to putting the sentiment with the foam adhesive, I have added some Tombow to the back of this. I'm going to place this on my card base, and I like to make my card fronts first and then add those at the card base. It just seems to be a lot less waste of paper, in my opinion, because then I end up throwing a whole card base, and I like how clean it looks. And look how pretty that is. All right, I have my sentiment strip with my foam in the back, and I like to use large pieces of foam, and the reason why is that it's gonna look a lot cleaner, and it's gonna hold the sentiment or the image much nicer. And that does it. How fun is that? You can embellish if you like. I'm gonna leave this pretty clean and pretty simple with our Distress Oxide coloring. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Give this a thumbs up, subscribe if you like. Your subscriptions to my video channel allow me to continue providing tutorials. Please let me know your thoughts, and if you create something inspired like this, tag me. I'd love to see it. I am on Instagram at Carissa Thompson Design. All the links are below. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day.